Scano Saguego. I'm trying to make sense of your answer for question 1. I think I know what you mean, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to try to explain it in an example. So I have a non-Indigenous friend who I've known since high school, so for a very long time. Every year, she makes it a point to bring her family to our annual Grand River Champion of Champions powwow. It's the third weekend in July if you want to come. She has 3 kids. One daughter who's a teenager, a second daughter who's 9, and her son is 4 years old. Right now, her 9-year-old daughter is really into dance. This past year, after they left the powwow and on the way home, her 9-year-old asked her mom if she could dance in the powwow. Her mom told her no, because dancing at the powwow is just for Native people. The 9-year-old, being a 9-year-old, didn't really understand why. She didn't understand what her mom was talking about until her mom told her it was Native people's culture. That's why they dance at powwows. It's just part of who they are, part of growing up. Her little girl then asked her, well, what's my culture? When her mom was telling me the story, she was laughing and maybe a little bit sad at the same time, because she had to tell her daughter that she had to tell her nothing. We really don't have a culture. Needless to say, her daughter was disappointed. And I'm assuming she asked the question because she was trying to make some sort of connection that would allow her to dance and be proud of her culture at the same time. I'm not sure if that's what you mean by that's just the way things are. I think that's what you mean, but I'm not sure. Am I close? I almost jumped out of my chair when you said you were talking to the founder of the Everlasting Tree School. I'm actually going to check out the tree school for my son to go there. And I know the co-founders. They are a mother and daughter team, and I'm curious to know who you were talking to. I'm going to leave the link for my blog that I have to do for another class in the discussion post, because one of my blogs was actually on the Everlasting Tree School. It has a couple of videos in it that talks about the Waldorf philosophy, I guess, of education, and they talk about what it's all about. It's a really short, but it's a powerful video. There's also a second video in my blog of a student working very hard at completing assignment. It's pretty cute, so and it's also very short. Make sure you have the volume turned up so you can hear the conversations in the background. I didn't speak to the Ontario Policy Framework for Aboriginal Education, but I think you hit the nail right on the head with your points. It does not consider Indigenous ways of knowing and being. That being said, I think we can agree that if there was any consultation done in the writing of this document, it was completely construed. I think we all can agree that in order to learn more about Indigenous education, people just need to ask and not assume they know, and worse yet, not assume that things are just the way they are, because usually they're not. The Bill C-33 question. There are so many issues that people not living on my reserve know anything about. If I could sum it up in a word, I would say politics. I thought about going into this in my reading response on the blog I did, but I decided to carry it over to the Keeping the Discussion Going post. I posted a link for a blog or a webzine or an article. I'm not really sure what exactly it is, but I thought it did a good job about talking about the concerns between elected band council and Confederacy Council. It even says that it's about an 11-minute read, but I can give you a quick, the Reader's Digest version of what they talk about. So the Haudenosaunee Confederacy was in existence long before we were discovered. It was a mode of government that worked for our people. As colonization continued and the Indian Act was put into place, the Haudenosaunee people were forced to elect a band council. This was a foreign system put in place by the government as means to control the Haudenosaunee. Needless to say, the elected band council is still not favored by many of my people. To give you an idea, I'm going to throw some numbers at you. We have a total membership on Six Nations of 27,000 276 people. That was as of December 31st, 2014. Sorry, I should say not on Six Nations, but members of Six Nations. So that membership number is 27,276 people, and that was as of December 31st, 2017. So it's broken down further. So we have an on-reserve population, that is the people actually living on Six Nations, of 12,848, and people who are members of Six Nations but living off the reserve, that number is 14,428. At the 57th elected band council election, which was held on November 19th, 2016, that was the last election, there were, are you ready for this? 1,212 votes cast for chief. The current chief, Ava Hill, who's my cousin, she won with, are you ready for this? 623 votes. Remember, we have a population of 27,276. And of those people, there's about 5,700 people who are not eligible to vote because they are under 18. People living off the reserve, they are still eligible to vote. My parents never attended Longhouse or traditional ceremonies for whatever reason. I have never attended Longhouse or traditional ceremonies because my parents never went. When it comes to understanding ceremonies, traditions, politics in the Longhouse, I am lost. I have no idea. To be honest, even if I attended Longhouse, I would still feel the same way. I would still have this lost feeling because ceremonies and everything done in the Longhouse are completed in the language, and I don't speak my language yet. I struggle with a lot of what I'm learning in these courses because I often wonder how it's going to fit into my school and how it's relevant to me. Can I make it fit? Is it worth it to try and make it fit? What I do know, and what this program has helped me realize, is that I need to learn my language. That is my next journey, to become a lifelong learner of the Mohawk language. Nyawa for listening.